GM. If you don't mind giving the room a little share to wake your little friends up, that'd be great.
Hey, GM Tony.
Just going to vibe here for a few more minutes, let the coffee get into our veins. Welcome, welcome. Hit that little purple bubble on the bottom right if you can, please. Share the room. Let people know that we're going to do some book learning this morning. I know what you're going to say, Al. It never gets old, the little air horn, does it?
It really doesn't. I have to love the yeah boy.
The which one?
The yeah boy.
Oh yeah, I can give you a yeah boy.
I'm just gonna need a freaking soundboard.
Soundboard on request. All morning long. Another one. Good morning, GM Lils. Welcome to the TNS SoapBox for Lil Time. This is our usually our little lunch and learn, but had to change it from yesterday due to a medical appointment. And so today it's an espresso education. I hope you got your espresso or some Nouns coffee or something of the sort, some matcha tea maybe, or something with some caffeine in it so that we can all chill together and learn. How are you doing, Al?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are things in the little universe?
Um, Doing well, I would say. Looks like we're officially gonna pass our little funding prop, which is super exciting. Um, what else is new and
Yeah,
exciting?
I saw that. I noticed that I think you guys might have done the first Nouns omnibus proposal with that funding. You know what omnibus proposals are from regular boring governance outside of Nouns?
Honestly, no, I'm unfamiliar with omnibus.
Omnibus basically is when governments put like a bunch of different things into one bill to sort of efficiently
Yeah.
pass it. So your funding most recent one looks like a funding omnibus, but I like
Yeah.
it. It's efficient.
Yeah. And just like in real government, folks didn't like that either, but needed to pass some funding. So I'm glad we fucking figured something out.
Sometimes you have to just be efficient and fund all the things. So they
Yeah.
all look like reasonable numbers to me. If you're just joining us, please take a second to share the room. It's a little early, even here in EST. For those that are in PST, it's probably super early. So, again, I apologize for having to be so early. But for those that are in Europe, it's a great time. And for those who are in APAC, it's like right in their evening. So, who knows? Maybe we'll get some Lils from across the world as we dive into this.
Yeah. Awesome.
So we had our lunch and learn last week on Thursday. It was really great. It was about the merge. We had Honk Diddley, who's a nouner with quite a bit of hands-on experience, both with trolling and with Ethereum dev. So he used to work for the Ethereum Foundation. So it was great to hear from him and get sort of a deep dive on the difference between proof of work and proof of stake. If you missed that one, I recommend you look it up on our YouTube. When I say our, I mean the Noun Square. If you look it up on our YouTube, you should find it last Thursday. It was quite insightful. I learned a lot, and I think people enjoyed themselves. So we thought we would do another one of these because of the response from folks. And a question that Al said that you guys get a lot in the server is around like protection of NFTs or how to properly protect your wallets, especially from people who might be new to the space. So that's why we thought for today we would do as a topic a quick 5 easy rules how to protect your NFT wallets. As we go along, if you have any questions, feel free to come up on the stage or even comments or other things to add. We want to keep it super casual, so by all means, request to come up and we'll bring you up. And yeah, without any more fanfare, let's get into it, Al.
Yeah, sounds good.
So I
Yeah,
did pin.
quick thing on the last one. I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard Honk speak prior. And I could not figure that guy out in the beginning. I just thought he was totally trolling the entire time, but then he dropped like a ton of like very good information and like pretty useful, like more comprehensive or like yeah, like comprehensible like analogies to try to explain like different more technical components of the merge. Like he honestly did a fantastic job, but it was just really
all,
hard
all
to
while
take
pretending
him seriously.
all while pretending to do a southern accent. Yes, that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
No,
He
he's
eventually
definitely a
just said, "Yeah,
troll. There's
fuck
no.
it." I'm.
He's a troll
He
for
was so
sure,
funny.
and can be a polarizing character sometimes. But when it comes to that particular topic, he definitely knows his stuff. So it was good to
Yeah,
hear from him.
yeah. I would definitely recommend giving that one a listen.
One thing I forgot to mention earlier is that we did make a deck for this, a little slide deck for you to follow along. Unfortunately, Twitter doesn't yet offer the ability to share it like you can in Discord. But of course, we can all sort of just follow along at home. So the pinned tweet, if you look above, there's a Google Docs open slide deck. Can somebody just make sure that you can get into that, maybe, and just make sure that we can that it's accessible? It should be, but can someone volunteer to check that for me and just give me an emoji, maybe? All right, I'm seeing emojis. That's great. So let's jump right into it.
Cool.
So so 5 rules is how we sort of set this up. Of course, we could have like 100 rules for this, but we tried to boil it down to 5 rules that are good for super beginners. If you're not a beginner, some of this might be obvious to you, but it can still be helpful as ways to sort of onboard your friends who might be beginners or new people to the community, with Lils in particular. With the lower price point, obviously, one of our goals at Lils is to sort of be an opening or a first step into the Nanoverse for people. So it's important to be able to give them guidance when they have questions about how to protect themselves and be their own bank. Um, so as I'm saying here in the slide, if you have any NFTs or even one single NFT that you'd be devastated to lose, and by the way, that has nothing to do with the cost of the NFT. Maybe it's just a little noun that you really, really vibe with and you love it and it's your identity online or whatever, and you would be like absolutely devastated to lose it. Then maybe that should be in a cold wallet. Al, do you want to tell us what a cold wallet is?
Sure. So I was honestly pretty late to the game of like getting secure, but I'm very happy that I did. So I mean, there's just two notable types of wallets. One being a hot wallet, in which your seed phrase has been exposed to the internet. Like for most people, I assume this is a wallet that you've set up either through like MetaMask or maybe like Coinbase wallet, and you've set it up directly through your phone. The alternative form of a wallet would be like a hardware wallet or a cold wallet, for example, one where the seed phrase has been generated by the device itself and has never been exposed to the internet. And as long as you do not expose that seed phrase to the internet, your device is technically safe. And as long as you don't like submit any token approvals, your assets are completely secure within your hardware wallet.
Yeah, and one thing to clarify about a hardware wallet as well. So Ledger and Trezor, you may have heard those names. Those are common, two of the most biggest brands of hardware wallets. When you buy them, you want to make sure you buy them directly from the manufacturer, because there have been scams in the past where resellers have put malicious code onto a Ledger or a Trezor and then resold it is new. So always buy directly from their website. But one thing that I've had asked to me before is, what if I lose? What if I lose my ledger, or I lose my Trezor, or my house burns down and I lose the actual physical USB key looking thing that you see here on the slide? Are all of my NFTs gone? Is my crypto gone? No. So a hard wallet doesn't actually carry anything inside it. I feel like we should have put like the Zoolander meme on here, like the cryptocurrency is inside the hard wallet. It is not. As Al mentioned, it's just your private keys that are held inside of this, and then you'll have basically a seed phrase that's associated with it. The seed phrase itself is really what's important, and that's what you need to safeguard, which we'll get into later. But as Al mentioned, this just makes sure that you can interact with your assets without being connected to the internet. So that's the point of a hardware wallet. So if you
Right.
have a good amount of crypto or some NFTs that you would really hate to lose, it's best practice to keep them on this kind of a wallet. Any
Yeah.
questions about that? Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, I was just going to follow it up and say, honestly, if there's like one major takeaway from this, it is if you do not have a hardware wallet and you have assets that are very valuable to you and you do not plan on moving even like soon, that this should be the one thing that you do, honestly, like protect yourself.
Mm-hmm, for sure. All right, going on to the next slide. Um, as I kind of alluded to prior, so if you don't feel like you need a hardware wallet for whatever reason, or you're just on the cusp of needing one, maybe you don't have enough crypto yet where you feel it's necessary, or your NFT collection, you'd be okay if you lost it and you could start over. At the very least, you should have a secondary MetaMask wallet with a different seed phrase from your main wallet, which you could basically call your backup wallet, and never use that wallet to degen, essentially. So, so what I see a lot of people doing is they keep, they don't use a hardware wallet, and I can be guilty of this sometimes for periods where I don't put things onto my hardware wallet as often as I should. And then they'll put things in their hot wallet, and they'll be, claiming every token under the sun, minting every free mint that they see, using their main wallet, and you're really just exposing yourself at that point unnecessarily with all of your assets in that wallet. At the very least, it's easy enough to set up a separate wallet that is very rarely or never used to connect directly to mint sites and keep your assets there. It's not as secure as a hardware wallet because it still does interact with the internet, and so if you get malware on your computer, or a number of other social engineering ways that people could get at your wallet, you could still lose your assets, but it's a lot safer than using it all over the internet without protection, and then we all know what happens in that case. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and again, I just want to reiterate: if you have any questions at all, throw up an emoji hand or just request to come on stage, and we'd be happy to take questions as we go. So I think we can move on to rule 2 then. I'll pass it over to you.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So this is a rule that we came up with based on prior experience that we've seen from an old community member. But so if you're going to be interacting with a website, just like make sure that it is like the official link that you are actually looking for. So, like for example, just like always reach out to the website from like an official link section, or like a project's official like Twitter or Discord account. Like always double check a URL before you connect to a site. There's a ton of social engineering examples where folks will just very slightly modify like a character that looks like the official link, and they'll make the front end of the website identical, and you connect and you'll sign some sort of transaction, and they can just drain your wallet. Another good tip would be to like don't rely on like Google searches or even just like an open sea search. Like for example, we have a screenshot on here. Like if you were to search the collection nodes, for example, I'm sure you guys have seen this in the past, but if you search any notable collection, there's there's always someone with an identical name, and maybe they just
Sorry, did you
like
say
copy
nodesable?
the
A
mint on
nodesable collection?
a very notable collection. Yes. And like maybe they've like minted it on Polygon, or I think there was actually a scam. It was months ago, but it happened on Kiwi Swap. I think before they like had some sort of UI thing to verify holding, and somebody essentially minted a fake Bored Ape and like Photoshop the little verification check onto the image, and they were successfully able to do a swap. So I always just like double check the assets if you're buying or trading or anything, just to like completely validate that you are actually going for what you've intended to go for here.
I will say one thing though. Last time I gave a talk on this to a community, I went on OpenSea and I found tons of examples of this. And last night when I went to look, there really was only the one that I could find in the Nouniverse. So OpenSea is finally getting their act together with regards to getting a lot of these scam collections taken down. Unfortunately, they're taking a lot of good collections down in in the process. So,
Yeah,
I mean, it's a double-edged sword. But nonetheless, just be very vigilant. This was just one example how someone put a period at the end of nodes, 31 polygon items. They may not be scam items, like they may not be malicious, but they are definitely not going to the original artist, and could potentially put your assets at risk. And this actually isn't in our presentation, by the way, but if you receive Polygon or other chain assets in your wallet, it's best practice not to interact with them for the reasons I just mentioned. Sometimes these sort of scam collections can actually be nefarious, and they can expose your wallet to danger if you actually interact with them by you might send something and it actually signs a confirmation to give access to certain permissions in your wallet. So if you get something that you didn't ask for in your wallet, sometimes it's okay. Like my friend World of Noun, I see here, always sends out awesome X copy drops to people who own his collection. Those are great. They often end up, unfortunately, in the hidden folder because OpenSea's spam filter catches them. Those are great. Move them into your main wallet. But generally be critical of other things that end up in that hidden folder because they may be nefarious.
right. Yeah, I'm sure many of you have seen. You'll just get a very like random new coin in your wallet or some new NFT. And honestly, it is recommended to just leave it be, like leave it alone. You
They're
don't
getting
like,
creative with it too. Like I got over the last week, I got offers. So I got an email from OpenSea saying I got an offer for 1.6 ETH for an NFT I don't own. I'm like, what the heck is this? And sure enough, someone had sent some weird fruit NFT to my wallet and then gave an offer of 1.6 ETH or whatever. Now I don't know what the scam is there, but I can guarantee you it's a scam. If it sounds too
yeah,
good to be true, guys, you know the rest.
yeah. I wonder if that was a real OpenSea email, even.
It was, yeah. I verified it was actually an offer. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's
Interesting.
another vector too that maybe we could have covered, and you can't cover everything in five rules, but it
Right.
is on the theme here too. Is that if you get an email from OpenSea, I mean, how often do you actually need to click from an email to OpenSea? Like, why are you doing that? There's really not any reason to do it. So I typically don't, just because it opens me up to a vector of attack when I'm not paying attention. So I typically don't ever click any emails from any of my any of my crypto providers. OpenSea being a good example of it. There's really no reason to do it. You're better off to go to the URL, make sure you're going directly to the right site before you interact.
Yeah. Honestly, that's like a pretty simple rule of thumb in general. Just don't click a link sent to you, like, period. I mean,
Mhm.
if I don't know, if someone's trying to navigate you to like an OpenSea or just like, a big name site that you're a frequent like visitor of, just go there yourself, like just go search for whatever you were searching for real quick on your own. I mean, obviously if you have like trusted friends, like you don't necessarily have to completely worry, but in general, just always keep your guard up at the end of the day, because
I've seen some really savvy people get scammed, and it's always because of complacency. It's just because they get so used to it, and you
yeah,
just can't forget that you have decided to be your own bank, and you have to take your own security in your own hands.
right. And that definitely ties back to the idea of just kind of having multiple wallets. Like you said, like a degen wallet. You feel free to go make a new wallet, connect to every free mint you've ever seen. Interact with whatever the hell sketchy sites or contracts you feel like. Because I mean, if you have nothing of value in the wallet, then you have nothing to worry about. Just take those extra steps and cover your ass, and then you don't have to necessarily worry as much.
Just bear market things. Every wallet is a degen wallet. No, I'm just kidding. All right, I'll hand it back to you, Al, to finish up the slide for this rule.
Oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, so earlier this year, like a member of the Nounish extension community visited this spoof site. It was looksarare.org. And obviously do not visit this site. But I mean, this was again just like another social engineering attempt of they essentially just completely copied the front end of the looks rare site entirely,
Oh, by the
and
way,
they were somehow able to.
not just the front end, Al. They had actually recreated all of the staking pages and everything to actually work to reflect the correct stake amounts and everything. So this was not a Mickey
Wow,
Mouse attempt, but
wow, and somehow they even got it to like appear at the very top of a Google search at the time.
it was probably a
What
Google
a
ad. But
Yeah, do you recall like what happened? Like, did that user basically just connect then to this site, like sign one transaction, and it was just like over from there?
well, you know, when you go to Lookshare and then you try to do something and maybe your wallet had been disconnected, it will ask you to approve. So I mean,
Uh-huh.
I wasn't there when this happened, but I assume that it asks for permissions, allow all permissions to essentially do any kind of transactions with the wallet, and then proceeded to start
Right,
dumping his wallet to their own.
right,
Yeah.
right, and that's so sad, honestly, because like I don't know, you look at a site like Looks Rare, and you don't, and that's what like when you can put your guard down because you just view it as like this very legitimate organization, but in reality, you didn't check the link close enough, and you were very easily like socially engineered, and all it takes is that one signature, and your entire wallet can get drained immediately.
And I've heard people say on Twitter or elsewhere on Discord, "Oh, I got scammed on OpenSea," or "Oh, I got scammed on Looksrare." And 99% of the time, if that's the case, you got scammed by actually 100% of the time. In
Copycat.
those cases, you got scammed by an exact copy of those sites. Those contracts are safe. They've been audited for Luxbear and for OpenSea. If you make sure you're on the correct site, you're not getting scammed. Barring having some kind of malware on your system or something that's unrelated to those sites. So, just to reiterate
Right,
and beat a dead horse, just make sure that you're always going to links. Either double checking the link at the top, going to their website and making sure it's the correct one. I typically just like to use Twitter because Twitter is easy to find the verified account, and then you can always just click over from there. Or as Al mentioned, you can do Discord and use their approved links section of their Discord. But it's just a good habit to get into. It takes a couple extra seconds, and it makes sure that you're not going to get caught with your pants down. So,
yeah, yeah, well said. Do you want
and it
to jump over to the next one?
sounds good. Just between these rules, though, I'll keep saying if you have any questions or comments, by all means, come up stage. We're trying to be casual about it, and I'm happy to hear from others as well. Rule number 3: whenever you're connecting your a site to your MetaMask wallet, imagine that you're asking a few questions to someone who's trying to enter your bank vault and where you keep all of your valuables. Essentially, all that to say, read what you are signing on your MetaMask wallet or whatever wallet you do use. When those little pop-ups come up again, it comes back to complacency. Sometimes we just get into a flow of things and we're like, yes, approve, approve, approve. This is a way that, for example, the previous example of the individual who was scammed on LooksRare could have caught it because guaranteed, if he had looked at the what he was signing, it was an approval, transaction which would never be needed on either LooksRare or OpenSea. So when you're connecting something to your wallet and it's giving you a specific request for permission, read it, because read it as if someone was coming to your door and saying, "Do you mind if I come in and look at all your valuables?" Because that's basically what you're allowing them to do.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And I put a note here on the next slide that the NFT space moves a mile a minute, but really like 10 seconds to read something before you approve is not gonna break the bank on your time bank. So make sure that you take the time to do it. Honestly, if you just do this and nothing else in this entire um, espresso education session, you will probably protect yourself from all harm.
Yeah. But if you can't manage to do this, then please get two wallets and keep your valuables in a different wallet.
I'm not saying not to follow the other advice. Obviously, like multi-prong attack is the best, but at the end of the day, like
uh,
if you talk to anyone technical, they will tell you that you can't really get scammed without approving, for the most part, without approving a nefarious transaction in your wallet. So that's really good to be super vigilant about. And that's it. That's it. Rule 3 is very quick, very simple. So your turn, Al. Rule 4. Go for it.
yeah. Um, yeah, so the next one is to just keep your DMs off on Discord and just basically like always be skeptical of just links from anyone that you don't know or trust. I'll actually save it to the end, but I had DMs on for a while and I've since turned them off because I've been attempted to be scammed like multiple times, and some people have been like relatively creative. Other people have been pretty not creative. Maybe we could do that at the end, like a little Q&A, like everyone shares their experience. But yeah, I mean, in reality, you just don't need your DMs on, especially in like a server with a ton of people that you aren't super familiar with. If someone needs something from you or has a question from you, there are plenty of channels within said Discord that they could ask. Like what, I don't know, especially if they need to send you a link or are trying to do some over the counter deal with you. There's no reason that any of that needs to be done in private. I like just in general, kind of be wary of that, and just like always keep your guard up, because you never really know.
Also, if someone needs to communicate with you on Discord, it's very easy for them to friend request, and it's just an easy first step to make sure that you know who you're talking to for the most part. So, yeah, I mean, you can still get scammed obviously by somebody who friend requests you and goes through that whole process, but why not set up an additional habit of making sure that you're not being bombarded by scams? And the more active you are in Web3 and in Nouns, the more scams you're going to get in your DMs if you keep them open. So mine have been
Yep.
closed for a very long time, and I will never open them again. Happy to talk to people, happy to accept friend requests from almost anybody within the Nouniverse, but yeah, not accepting just random messages because the scams are always there.
Just have a conversation and prove you're not a bot, and we'll be more than happy to interact with you. But yeah, it's just to like cover your own ass, because I feel like I was getting way more spam DMs than like anything of actual value or of like legitimacy.
Oh,
Yeah, if
100%.
you're getting a bunch, just do it for yourself. It's so much better.
For sure.
So yeah, just to, I guess, build off this rule. Never give anyone the seed phrase out to your wallet ever. This is quite literally giving away like your master key that gives you access to your wallet, even if you were to lose it, for example.
What is this? Actually, maybe we should take a step back and you can explain what a seed phrase is for anyone who's listening now or listening back who might not know exactly what you mean by that phrase.
Sure. So I feel like you kind of explained it in a bit, like this idea of like your wallet is essentially, it doesn't hold your assets, but all of your assets are just kind of, they live on the Ethereum blockchain. And your wallet is like a mechanism that contains a private key, and that private key is required to authenticate transactions. So, for example, if you were to lose your wallet or you'd want to add your wallet to a different device, in order to do that, you need what is called the seed phrase that is provided to you when you set up the wallet, which is it's a 12, 18, or 24 word, like or series of words that you can use to recover your wallet's private keys. Um,
That's
this
right.
should not be information that you share with absolutely anyone or anyone really. It is something that you should be given at the time of setting up your wallet, and you should lock it away somewhere safe. Don't show anyone. There is zero reason in any scenario ever where somebody should require your seed phrase to help you with something or for anything. That the only time you should ever ask for someone's seed phrase is if you're blatantly attempting to steal their assets, and then nothing more.
Exactly. And going back to something we said earlier about questions about whether someone's hardware wallet gets damaged and are the assets at risk if it gets damaged, it's maybe a bit counterintuitive to some to say, well, no, you can throw your ledger in a lake, but if the piece of paper that you wrote your seed phrase on gets too wrinkly, your assets are gone. So it's actually the seed phrase that you need to be super vigilant about making sure it's protected.
Yeah, and even just some like best practices for securing your seed phrase. It's surely not recommended to keep your seed phrase in like a Google Doc, for example, or like a notepad on your phone that is synced to some sort of cloud service. If like in a perfect world, the most secure version of a seed phrase is one that is generated directly from the device itself. So, like a ledger, a cold wallet, for example, where that seed phrase has never been exposed to the internet. And if you can record it in a place with nobody around and then go put it somewhere safe, obviously like fire resistant or whatever you got to do to make sure that that document is essentially unseen, untouched, and like untamperable. That that scenario is your best shot at being completely secure.
Awesome. We had someone up here for a question, but they're gone, so I don't know where they went to, but they come
I was
back.
trying to
We'll
add them up.
bring them back.
Um,
One other thing I wanted to mention about writing it down on paper, there actually are, if you're interested, in particularly for a hardware wallet, because you may change other wallets like a MetaMask wallet more frequently for some reason. But if you have a hardware wallet seed phrase, there are products out there where you can actually get your seed phrase engraved on. You can engrave it yourself, basically on metal, and that way it will be fireproof. I don't have one of these, but I've been meaning to get one. There, it's kind of a cool product.
yeah, I've seen a couple. Like I've seen like one where it's just like a metal sheet, and you literally like take like a hammer and like a chisel and like literally bang the letters in.
Yeah.
Or I've seen like a metal tube where you just kind of like stack like Scrabble letters in this tube, and it is the letters to all of your words.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's by far the most secure. You just assemble it yourself. It's totally fire resistant, and it is not done by anyone else. So again, only you know those series of words, and you can keep it safe.
Because your insurance company is not going to believe you that the piece of paper that was in the shoebox in your house when your house burned down was worth 100,000 USD.
Probably not.
One last point on there, Al, I guess, is about screen sharing. You want to talk about that?
Oh yeah. No, this is honestly pretty smart. So never share your screen for any reason with someone that you don't know. Or if you have to share your screen, like never interact with your wallet on the screen, or you could accidentally expose your seed phrase in the preferences. Yeah, I mean this is another way to just kind of avoid yourself from social engineering. And if you just get some sort of malicious actor who claims that they're going to help you, or I I'll share this example at the end, but I've had someone essentially try to like do a trade with me, and of course they were trying to act like it wasn't working, blah blah blah. They were trying to get me to screen share and like jump into my thing, and I was like, okay, this is not real, and obviously just left the call. But yeah, you
There's
just
at
gotta be
least one.
careful. You
There's
never
at
know.
least one scam last year or earlier this year where an ape was stolen, and that's exactly what happened. It was a screen share situation where they social engineered them to open up the correct preference panel in their MetaMask, and then were able to scan the code in order to get access to their wallet. So, not a good idea. And then there was also, I can't remember exactly which community it was, but if you remember earlier in the year during the height of the bull market, there were a lot of discords being hacked, even some major discords that you would think would be secure. And at least one of the postmortems, I remember that was what happened, is that one of the admins of the Discord had been on a screen share and basically revealed their Discord code in the preferences, and the people were able to basically take over their Discord, and therefore scam the entire Discord that they were been admin for. So generally speaking, screen share just not a great idea unless you know that you're on the line with Comcast or something like that. Otherwise, there's very little reason to have someone else looking at your screen. But I mean, even if you're, who knows, maybe if you're Twitch streaming or you're doing a live stream for something, again, just be super careful about what you're putting on your screen when
Right.
you're doing that.
Just protect your stuff.
Protect your stuff. And now maybe you can tell your story at the end of this rule number 5, because it'll be
Yeah, yeah.
relevant. But rule number 5 is never ever make deals with anyone to trade NFTs for Ethereum or any other asset unless you trust that person with your life. Because if you're not doing it through a trusted intermediary, whether that be OpenSea or something like SwapKiwi, which is developed by a Noun owner, Nifty Not. So if you're not using one of these trusted sites to do your swap, then just know that you're basically taking a huge risk and essentially trading someone your NFT for a piece of paper that says, I promise you I'm going to send you Ethereum back. Very common vector for attack, because a lot of people are very trusting. And scammers can be very good at social engineering and making you feel like you have that you're friends or whatever. But just don't feel like you need to trust someone with an asset that's worth ETH and has value to you as well. There's nothing wrong with being secure and making sure that you're using an intermediary, even if that intermediary charges a little bit for the transaction. In my opinion, it's worth it for the for the peace of mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially a guarantee that no one can scam one another. For those who have never used Swap Kiwi, it's honestly fantastic. You can put up assets like whether NFTs, or recently they've added functionality to bundle NFTs plus ETH, and you can make direct over-the-counter trades with somebody, and it's essentially just an escrow, so you don't have to worry about any sort of trust aspect. You both have to put up your ends of the trade, and you both have to validate that the person put up what they said they were going to put up, and then you both have to sign that transaction in order for a swap to actually occur. So there's essentially no reason that you should ever just do an over-the-counter deal with someone that you literally don't trust with your entire life, when you have very easy to use services like Swap Kiwi.
Yes. And by the way, speaking of escrow, because that's exactly what Swap Kiwi is, it's a smart contract escrow. If anyone ever asks you to be an escrow, also a scam. Very common scam that was going around a few months ago, where people were asking folks to be an escrow for a trade between him and a friend, and you could take a cut, whatever. Anyway, you are going to be the cut in that deal. So,
Yeah.
all right, so those are the 5 rules that we came up with. Obviously, you could have a million more rules, and I'm sure there's experiences that you've all had personally that you could share. And if you would like to share, it's very helpful for these types of lunch and learn espresso educations, to share and let people learn from your own learnings, as well as Alice told a couple stories. And so if you do have a story or a question or a comment or anything, please don't be shy to come up, and we'd love to hear from you. But basically, in conclusion, if you're following along on the slides, just remember that when you first got into NFTs and crypto, you essentially were making a decision to be a custodian of your own assets. Or, as we said earlier in the presentation, you are now your own bank. It's awesome to be your own bank, but one of the sort of drawbacks is that you are responsible for your own security. So, yes, you have control over your own assets, but on the flip side, you have control over your own assets. So you have to make sure that you
Double-edged
protect them.
sword.
Yeah. And in the final slide here, I just mentioned that, this has been my experience anyway, and I'm sure it has been for a lot of you folks, especially within the Lils community. The crypto and NFT communities, especially Nouns, especially Lils, are full of really kind and helpful people. So it's important not to paint everyone with the same brush, or to go through an hour of warnings and leave thinking, oh, geez, everyone's trying to scam me. Probably everyone isn't trying to scam you. Most of the people that you'll meet in this space are actually going to be friendly, and they'll do anything to help you. And I've seen communities come together and help those who have been scammed, even though it wasn't their fault and the person probably didn't take good security practices. People have come together. But as I mentioned here, for every 1,000 good people, it only takes one bad egg to come in and ruin your day. And not only that, it's kind of cumulative too. So you might be like 8 months of really getting into Web3 and learning, and building up your collection of NFTs and stacking ETH, and then all of a sudden one day it's all gone because you made one mistake, or several mistakes that you could have avoided. So hopefully you guys have found these rules helpful. And they're not exhaustive by any means, but if you or any beginners or people that you're trying to onboard follow these rules, they'll be in a lot better position, I think, in terms of not exposing themselves unnecessarily to scams.
Yeah, well put.
So we'll open the floor here again. That's all we had for you today. Hey, Darius, how are you?
I'm fine. I just love to appreciate you for all this information, especially for newbies. And I'd like to echo that never, ever buy a ledger from a third company. I always get that from the manufacturer, because in last year, I just lost $30,000. All I had from my ledger, because I bought that from Iran, from a normal store. I was newbie during those days, and yeah, that was my everything. And after that, that was the most shock that I faced in past 5 years. And yeah, never ever buy a ledger or any cold wallet from a normal store. Just get that from the main manufacturer for sure.
You hate to hear that, especially like
Yeah.
all scams are really terrible to hear about, and I'm sorry that happened to
Yeah,
you,
of
Darius.
course. No worries. I already made that back. So, but yeah, that's a lot.
Good for
A
you.
loss is a loss anyway. But I learned my lesson. I'm trying to echo that in every community that I'm involved with.
Yeah.
And of course, about the scammers, they are not in a rush. They can make fake friendship with you for a month, and after that, with a link, yeah, you're done.
Yeah, very true. So that's a good point, because we talked earlier about interacting with people you trust and whatnot. But one of the important parts of that slide was that even if you do trust the person, or it seems to be a person that you trust, you still have to be critical about everything that you're being asked. So if someone asks you something that a friend wouldn't ask you for, then you have to be critical of that. Don't just, hand over the keys to the safe because, oh, this is Al 409. He would never scam me. Well, you don't know. Maybe it's not Al 409. Maybe it's a really convincing dupe account. Maybe Al accidentally exposed his Discord signature on a screen share. This is actually, a scammer from somewhere else in the world who's taken over Al's account. Anyway, the point is, just be vigilant and think through when people are asking you things. And if you don't know whether something's safe or not, ask someone that you think would know.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that with us, Darius. And again, I'm sorry that happened to you. And I was going to say, one of the worst things about ledger scams and stuff like this is that it's literally someone often new who's trying to do the right thing to protect their assets, and then when they get scammed by something that was supposed to to be, a secure way of storing their assets, it's just like, fuck, can't win for trying. But I'm really
I
really
was
glad
so
to
sure
see you bounce back.
about my ledger. I was so sure about my ledger, and I didn't even check that for 6 months. And when I checked that ledger because I needed some fund, I found out that was empty already for 3 months.
Oh man,
It's crazy.
hurts more in the bull market too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in the world market. Yeah. That bastard sold my BTC on $60,000. So his win.
That's the secret alpha, is when the scammers sell, that's where you need to sell.
Bull market peak.
Thanks for
I just
sharing,
want,
Darius.
I just
Does
want
anyone
to
else
add.
have any questions about times when you were scammed, or if people tried to scam you? It's helpful to share these experiences so people know what to look out for.
Thanks for having me. I just want to ask my friends to listen to all this session twice.
Awesome. Sounds good. I've luckily never been scammed myself, touch wood, but I don't really respond to DMs from anybody that I don't recognize, and I think that's the main takeaway. If there's any takeaways, I mean, there's lots of good things in our presentation today, but most of the time, if you get scammed, it's going to be by social engineering. Someone sending you
Right.
to a link that you let your guard down. When you're humans are very social creatures, so most of the time when we let our guard down, it's because another human has emotionally gotten to us. So don't even put yourself in that position, I guess, would be my advice. Hey, Jean-Marc, how are you?
Hello, how are you? Thank you for
I'm good,
this very
thanks.
informative session. Uh,
Yeah.
I just have two things to share. First, Al mentioned earlier, maybe we could share the funniest Discord DMs. I was once
Yes.
DM'd by Gary V himself.
Like actually, or
No.
someone pretending?
It was someone pretending. And it was so obviously someone pretending, but I just thought it was hilarious. Um, uh, yeah, I would just watch out for social engineering as well, because I've gotten only scammed once. It wasn't really necessarily scammed in that my wallet got drained. It was more I had publicly announced on Twitter the winners of a giveaway, and someone immediately changed all of their Twitter profile to match one of the winners and messaged me as if it was them. and then
Mm-hmm.
without really paying attention, I just sent it to their wallet. I let my guard down for just 1 second, and that was the only time I had gotten got.
Yeah, that's a common one, and another example of how social engineering is usually the way that people scam. We get that literally every time we run a contest here on the Noun Square. There's at least one person or two people who do exactly that, and
Exactly.
they're pretty quick about it. And they're pretty good about it. So that's why we always DM the winners immediately once we choose them, so that we can identify that the winner is indeed the winner. Because people will, like you said, clone the exact Twitter account. We had one who actually like made a website. So the person who had won had a website with all of his accomplishments or what have you. The person who cloned the website as well. So the link was almost the same, and then had all this. It was crazy, like the amount of effort that they went through.
Exactly. It's
And that was
mainly
for
because it's
0.5 ETH.
lucrative for hackers to do it in Web3 because of how vulnerable our wallets are, which makes this session
But like
all the more important.
This was for a prize of 0.5 ETH, I think. So imagine what they would do for all the contents of your wallet, right? So,
exactly.
Darius?
Yeah, I believe since we are recording this and you already cover everything, it's gonna be amazing if you talk with our flows about burner wallets too.
Sorry, say again.
I said since we are recording this, it's gonna be amazing if we let our people know about how to use burner wallet in this case too.
Sure.
Burner wallet.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were getting at earlier about not having your main wallet as your MetaMask wallet or whatever you use for most of your assets that are not in hard storage, cold storage. Not using those to degen essentially. So I think that's what you mean by burner wallet, Darius, is having a wallet that you can connect to things without worrying about putting your assets at risk.
Yeah, especially when people love to join the free mints and join the giveaways, they can always use the second wallet, which is mainly empty, and that's just for mint, free mint and normal stuff that they are not 100% sure and they can risk. Sometimes we love to risk, and we should not risk with the main wallet.
Yeah, yep, that's exactly right. There's just no reason to, and it's really not that difficult to set up a second wallet. And if you need help with that, ask Al. His DMs are open. No, they're not. But he'll help you. Symbiotech?
Maybe mention also revoke.cash and the capacity to also revoke on Etherscan.
So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Revoke cache is fine, although not really the best solution. The best solution is what you just mentioned secondarily. There is to go on Etherscan, and you can actually revoke tokens on Etherscan. From what I've been taught, if it doesn't cost gas to revoke, then you're not really doing the full job of revoking. So definitely check that. I'll see if I can get a link and tweet it here so that people can see.
Yeah.
But it is good to check. You can basically revoke any access that you've given to random mint sites, which, even a mint site that you minted on 8 months ago, who knows, like eventually maybe that project just goes under and someone takes control of the website, and if they still have permissions to your wallet, they could theoretically use those for nefarious purposes. So in general, it's not great to stay connected to these sites, especially with your main wallet. It's basically after the mint you should be disconnecting for the most part.
Yeah, so if you Google Etherscan token approvals, the first link is etherscan.io/token approval checker, all one word. And you can connect your wallet and see exactly what tokens have access to be transferred in and out of your wallet. It filters it out by, sorry, I just lost connection here. So you could check like your respective ERC20 tokens, or your NFTs would be like your ERC721s, and you could literally see every single token contract that you've ever interacted with that you have approved for transfer. So if obviously the best rule of thumb would be to send your valuables to a cold storage wallet that does not have these token approvals. But if for whatever reason you're just kind of interacting with your hot wallet, you can also revoke these actual token approvals to protect your assets from not being able to be sent out.
I did just pin that up top for anybody that isn't fast enough to type as Al speaking. Yeah, that's the best one.
Yeah, no, that's definitely another good rule of thumb.
Thanks, Symbiotech.
Yeah,
What's the
absolutely.
most egregious DM that you've ever received, Symbio?
Sorry, what was the most?
Like scammy DM that you've received?
Well, I do have one social engineering. I don't normally interact on Soul, but I have one project that decided to do their game on Soul. And so I set up a Phantom wallet and had a couple of assets there for their gaming portion of what was an Ethereum project.
Okay.
And got social engineered out of a Discord. And the minting page had a kind of a running counter of mints that were actively counting down to, like maybe 100 remaining on a free mint, and my wallet got drained.
That sucks. Was it your main
Yeah.
wallet? I guess it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
I don't really mess around on Sol, so it was unfamiliar to me, and the approvals there are just so quick. You just like one click it, and so it's convenient for people, but it's also a great attack vector for those that have nefarious plans.
Yeah.
The power of centralized blockchain. I'm just kidding. Well, that's,
I had a funny scam attempt on Sol as well. Somebody like reached out to me directly and was trying to buy like an NFT that I had, and they said for whatever reason they don't have any ETH, they only have Sol. I was like, well, I don't want your like Sol at all. They're like, I'm willing to give you like a premium on it because I just don't have any ETH. Like, can you just get a Phantom wallet? I was like, okay. Like, already like my guard's starting to come up. I'm like, this is a little fishy, but like, I mean, if you want to pay me a 10% premium in Sol, I can just liquidate immediately. No, like, no problem. And so I download Phantom. This is like my first time ever interacting with it. And he sends me a link and he's like, it was essentially the Solana version of Etherscan, and was like, okay, I just sent like funds to your wallet, and I refresh my wallet, it's not there. And he's like, oh, you got to go into settings, and basically he was directing me to change my network, my Sol network, to the test net. He sent me like Sol on the test net, which for those who are unaware is completely invaluable, or like it is no value. You cannot transfer tokens from a testnet environment to like your centralized exchange, for example, and sell it. But it's funny because when you switch to testnet, it looks like, I was like, oh wow, I've got $8,000 worth of Sol in my wallet. But I was like, you fucking idiot. This is not of any value whatsoever. I'm assuming you can just generate tokens on any test net, and they're essentially worthless.
There's faucets for it, but yeah, it is interesting. I haven't heard of that one on the Ethereum network. People trying to trick people into like accepting ETH on Rinkeby or something, but could be.
Yeah. And then maybe it was just because like maybe Sol is just like less known or popular, especially at the time. I was like, that was a good one. That was creative. And I don't recommend doing this, but as soon as I realized it was a scam, instead of stopping talking to him, I just kept asking him really stupid questions to waste his time because it became entertaining.
I did that. I did that last time. Someone tried to scam the Noun Square. Against my better judgment, this was the person that I mentioned earlier that cloned someone's profile as well as their website and everything. It actually almost caught me at a moment of just trying to get these contest entries out, and then I realized that I had two of the same person. I was like, oh shit. And then I realized that someone was scamming, and he was being super he was being so polite in the messages too. Like, these people they're not stupid, and he's saying, God bless you, sir, this is going to help me so much. And then anyway, I said something back to him like, this, you're trying to scam someone out of their money, blah, blah, blah. And then he got so apologetic. He was like, sir, please forgive me. I need this money for my family. I'll never do it again. I'm like, oh God, like the scammer's like, she's pulling on my heartstrings now. So yeah, just don't talk to the scammer.
Yeah, I'm extremely rich on Rinkeby.
What's that, Darius?
I'm extremely rich on testnet.
What a flex. One thing I wanted to mention, Al, that I forgot to bring up, and it wasn't in our presentation, but it's worth mentioning. So you've probably heard the term before, not your keys, not your coins. And what that often refers to is, yes, what we talked about earlier, keeping your crypto and your Ethereum on wallets that you have custody over, especially cold wallets if it's a good amount, or NFTs that are worth a lot. But I see a lot of people keeping a lot of crypto on centralized exchanges. Centralized exchanges is anything like Coinbase or Crypto.com, Exodus, any of these sort of centralized exchanges where you might be able to put your ETH in and take it out, but someone else is involved in the decision as to whether you can do that or not. And frankly, most of the time, you don't actually own ETH on these exchanges. You own an IOU for ETH or whatever else you've put in there. And I think it's just important to realize with what happened with Celsius not that long ago, anything that you have in a centralized exchange, you are exposing yourself to counterparty risk. Essentially, you're saying, I believe that this company is good for it and that they'll never scam me. And as people who trusted Celsius with their life savings recently learned, even these companies can be exposed to downside that they're not able to cope with. And I know, unfortunately, some people who did lose their entire life savings on Celsius. So don't be those people. Take most of your assets that you really care about and keep them under your own custody and your own wallet. And I know it might be nerve-wracking sometimes to do that for the first time, but trust me, it's better to learn how to custody them yourself than to have something like what happened with Celsius could happen with any of these centralized exchanges. And is it
interact with it? He's truly just holding. But like, even someone like myself, like I think I got my first hardware wallet like probably less than a year ago, and like I was just like intimidated by the fact that I didn't completely understand how it worked, but just like give it a shot. I promise you, it's like very straightforward. Like as long as you just document your seed phrase and put it away, you'll be comfortable with the device in like a few transactions max, and you can just sleep with peace of mind.
Exactly. Anyone else in the crowd or on stage have any other stories of swindlers or scammers?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a bunch.
We could make our own Netflix special.
This could be an entire other episode. I had another one that was kind of funny. Somebody was reached out to me because they were trying to buy an NFT that I had. So I was entertaining their offer, and the one I had wasn't for sale, but like the price they offered, I was like, sure, I would sell it for that. So I went and listed it on OpenSea, and they sent me back a screenshot, and they're like, OpenSea's getting a error like 504. I was like, never seen that. And obviously I go to OpenSea on my end, and the site is working completely fine. So I was like, all right, why don't you try LooksRare? So again, I go listed on LooksRare, and he says the same thing. He says he's getting an error 504. He sends me screenshots of like the alleged site being down, and so then he's like, okay, I'm gonna start a group DM with Dom from Nouns. I was like, well, that doesn't make sense because I'm not selling you a noun. And he essentially just had someone create like a fake account impersonating Nounder Dom. And for those who don't know, if you click on the Discord profile, there is a 4-digit tag after that person's name to help be like a unique identifier. And this person couldn't even be bothered to make those match. Actually, I don't think you can technically make them match. I think it is a unique identifier intentionally. But regardless, this person like very clearly was trying to put me in a DM with a fake Dom, and I just laughed and called them scammers, and they immediately blocked me. But
that's crazy. I'm sure all of us have at least 5 or 6 stories like this. So the takeaway, I guess,
could do this forever.
to make sure that we stay vigilant. Awesome. Well, I'll open up the floor one more time to questions. As many of you probably know, we do have 9 o'clock coming up pretty quickly. It's going to be starting in 10 minutes. So If
hell
you're
yeah.
if you enjoyed this, then take 10 minutes to go refill your coffee, and we'll be back here to watch the Nouns auction.
Yeah, come watch Lil Nouns fire off another bid.
Yeah, still going for this will be a cool one. The Dow Cloud.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then at 12 o'clock, we have International Nouns as well, which has been a cool soapbox that's been running for the past couple of weeks, where Zargs has been talking to people from different international communities with nouns and riffing back and forth on what they've got going on. So if you're interested in that, then you can tune in to that soapbox at 12 o'clock. And as for me and Al, we'll be back to our regular slot on Thursdays at 2 p.m. next week. Appreciate you guys coming with us into the morning for this espresso education, and I hope you guys found it helpful.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, TBD on next week's topic. But yeah, keep a lookout. I think we're going to be doing another Little Noun giveaway next week.
What? A Lil Noun giveaway?
Soundboard.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there.
Yeah. There we go. I had to find it. better
put you on the spot.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you guys found it useful. If you didn't find it useful, but you found you know that there's a newbie or someone within the Lil Nouns community that would benefit from it, please share the tweet that we'll put out after this with the recording, so that they can listen back and learn as well. This will also be streamed over to our TNS YouTube later today, so they'll be able to find it on video if they prefer to watch things with some visuals. I'll actually talk to our team and see if they can get the slideshow to go up on YouTube with it. Let me see if I can do that. That'd be kind of cool. Awesome. Well, thanks, Al. Thanks for co-hosting. Thanks, Darius,
thanks
for your perspective, and World of Noun and Symbiotech for coming up to give your perspectives as well.
Yeah, thanks everybody for coming. I hope you
Thanks
guys
for
have a
hosting.
good Friday and a good weekend.
And we'll see you all back here in 10 minutes for 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna win that now. Bye bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye, guys.